Before Run DMC sold millions, before Rakim changed the game, before hip-hop became a $4 billion industry, 15 underground gems were literally inventing the culture in Bronx basements and block parties. We are talking about pioneers whose influence shaped everything that came after. Some charted, most did not, but all of them changed music history. These are the underground heroes who defined the 1980s streets. Number 1, Kool Herc. Not Grandmaster Flash, not Afrika Bambaataa.
When Kool Herc gave a party, everybody be there.
The man who invented hip-hop itself. In 1973, a Jamaican immigrant named Clive Campbell did something in a Bronx basement that changed music forever. He isolated the break section of funk records. The drum break, the moment where musicians stopped and the rhythm section took over. Kool Herc looped that break, extended it, let it repeat. He created the breakbeat. Every single hip-hop song ever made uses his technique. Every producer, every beat maker, every remix. All of it traces back to what Kool Herc did on turntables in 1973. But here is the crazy part. This man never had a #1 single, never went platinum, never got the endorsement deals. His only official recognition came in 2023 when he finally got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, 50 years after he invented hip-hop. That is the definition of underground, creating the foundation for an entire genre and watching other people profit from your innovation. Number 2, Grandmaster Flash and Melle. These two names are synonymous with hip-hop history. Grandmaster Flash was the DJ, the technical wizard. Melle was the MC, the voice, the poet. In 1975, they came together in the Bronx. By 1982, they dropped The Message, a song that did something hip-hop had never done before. It talked about poverty, police brutality, urban decay, not from a lecture hall, not from an outsider perspective, from someone who lived it. The Message hit number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, gold certification, massive radio play. But here is what made it underground. The song was so real that the streets claimed it before radio did. It became the voice of the voiceless. Every major rapper after came back to The Message. Rakim, Public Enemy, Slick Rick, they all studied how Flash and Melle turned a party track into social consciousness. But success broke them apart. Money disputes, credit arguments. By 1983, the group was splintering. The two men who created one of hip-hop's most important songs could not stay together. Number 3, Afrika Bambaataa. If Kool Herc invented the technique, Afrika Bambaataa invented the movement. This man started as a gang leader, the Black Spades, thousands of members. Then he had a revelation. Instead of fighting with weapons, he started fighting with culture. In 1973, he founded the Zulu Nation, a hip-hop collective that became a worldwide cultural movement, thousands of members, spreading hip-hop consciousness across the globe. Then in 1982, he dropped Planet Rock, a song that sampled Kraftwerk, a German electronic band. He fused synthesizers with hip-hop, electronic future with street reality. Planet Rock peaked at number 48 on the Billboard chart, but it became way more important than that number suggests. Afrika Bambaataa took the breakbeat technique that Kool Herc invented and took it into electronic territory. He proved hip-hop was not just one sound, it was a philosophy, an approach, a way of being. The Zulu Nation concept evolved into every modern hip-hop collective and crew. Every hip-hop collective is using Bambaataa's blueprint, whether they know it or not. Number 4, the Treacherous Three. While Grandmaster Flash was getting record deals, the Treacherous Three stayed loyal to the streets. 3 MCs, Kool D, Special K, and LA Sunshine. They released At the Party in 1980 on the Enjoy Records label. This song did not chart, did not get radio play. But in the Bronx underground, this song became essential. Party staple, block party anthem, 3 distinct MCs with 3 distinct styles trading verses. That was revolutionary at the time. This group invented the posse cut format. Multiple MCs on one track, different voices, different styles, trading back and forth. This became the standard for hip-hop group structure. Wu-Tang Clan used this format in 1993, but the Treacherous Three did it first in 1980. They never got the credit, but their template shaped everything. Kool D later went solo and became a massive star in the late 1980s, but nobody remembers that he started in the Treacherous Three, the group that stayed underground while one member became famous. Number 5, Grandmaster Caz. This man is not a household name. Most people have never heard of him.
I'm the off-the-chain, meat rack meter, engaged nigga.
But in the Bronx MC circles in the early 1980s, Grandmaster Caz was considered one of the greatest freestyle rappers alive. He was known for battle raps, freestyles, improvisation. His rhyme schemes were complex, multi-syllabic. He forced other MCs to level up their lyricism just to compete with him. Rakim has said in interviews that he studied Grandmaster Caz. LL Cool J reportedly witnessed Caz battles and was influenced by his style. But Grandmaster Caz never pursued record deals, never tried to go commercial. He stayed on the streets, in the clubs, in the battles. His legend grew because he refused to commercialize. This is what pure underground credibility looks like. Influence measured not in chart positions or album sales, but in respect from other MCs. In the legacy he passed down through direct mentoring and competition, Grandmaster Caz proved that the most valuable currency in hip-hop is not money, it is respect. Number 6. Cold Crush Brothers. This crew was more famous than Grandmaster Flash at Bronx block parties, but they never got record deals, never went commercial, never even tried. Grandmaster Caz was part of this crew. Tony Starr, Charlie Chase on turntables, Baron on turntables, Mr. D on hype. 5 members with distinct roles. They showed up to parties and they dominated. Not through albums, not through radio, through live performance, through direct competition, through credibility. Cold Crush Brothers invented what we now call the crew format. Multiple MCs, multiple DJs, a unified group with individual voices. This became the blueprint for how hip-hop groups organized. Decades later, Wu-Tang Clan used the exact same structure in 1993, but Cold Crush Brothers did it first in 1979. Their influence exists only in oral history, in bootleg tapes passed hand to hand, in the memory of other MCs who witnessed them. Their recordings are rare, their documentation is sparse, but their impact is undeniable. They chose the streets over the studios, and they became legends. Number 7. The Fearless Four. You have probably never heard of them. Most people have not. But in 1982, they released Rocket Miss USA on the Enjoy Records label. This song did not chart. This song is barely documented. But the Fearless Four represented something important. 4 distinct MCs on one track. Different voices, different styles. Mastermind, Mighty Mike, their version of Melle, and Jay on hype. 4 guys, 1 song, no compromise, no commercial ambitions, just pure hip-hop party energy. This group existed for maybe 5 years in the early 1980s. Then they disappeared from recorded history entirely, but their format lived on. Multiple MC group songs became standard. The posse cut became the most important format in hip-hop. But the Fearless Four and the Treacherous Three and all these early groups who were doing it first, they got forgotten. Their blueprint got stolen by groups who had better record deals and better marketing. Number 8. Newcleus. Kurt D and Ben Leibowitz. These 2 guys did something nobody was doing in 1983. They fused synthesizers with hip-hop, electronic music with MC raps. Jam On It was their signature track. It sampled no one. It was original composition, synthesizers arranged like a full orchestra, MC rapping over electronic production. The song was not just electronic, it was hip-hop electronic. Beat-driven, funk-based rhythm, but with synthesizer textures. Jam On It peaked at number 31 on the Billboard chart. Gold certification, but Newcleus was too weird for mainstream success, too ahead of the curve. They did not try to go pop, they stayed committed to the electronic hip-hop sound. Newcleus represented something important, the willingness to experiment within hip-hop, to take the culture in unexpected directions. While other artists were chasing commercial crossover, Newcleus was creating a blueprint for electro-funk and electronic hip-hop that would influence producers for decades. Number 9. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. This is where things get complicated. This group had the biggest hit, The Message, but that success destroyed them. The group was Grandmaster Flash on turntables, Melle on vocals, but the Furious Five lineup changed. King Timmy Tim, Cowboy, Mr. Ness. Sometimes it was these guys, sometimes it was different guys. And in 1989, Cowboy died in a motorcycle accident. This group that should have dominated the entire 1980s instead fragmented over money disputes, credit arguments, publishing rights, members fighting over who deserved credit for The Message. The group that made a song about unity was torn apart by lack of unity. It is one of hip-hop's great tragedies. The most important group of the era could not stay together. Their influence was immense. Their commercial success was massive, but their legacy is complicated by internal conflict and member disputes. Number 10. Grandmaster Flash and Mel with Scorpio. This is the same era but a different configuration. Scorpio, also known as Mr. Ness, was one of the original Furious 5 members. By 1983, the group had changed. Now it was Flash and Mel and Scorpio. This team dropped White Lines in 1983. The song hit number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, 22 weeks on the chart. Massive success. But here is what made it underground. White Lines became more important over time. The song was sampled repeatedly in later hip-hop, in dance music, in electronic music. Years after release, the track gained cultural significance it did not have initially. Important. Scorpio's role was significant, but he is barely remembered. His contribution absorbed into the Flash and Mel legacy. White Lines represents both the moment these guys achieved their greatest commercial success and the beginning of the end for their partnership. Within a couple years, the configuration fell apart again, but the song lives on, forever. Number 11. Liquid. These guys were not even a hip-hop group, they were post-punk, experimental electronic music, no connection to hip-hop culture originally. But their song Cavern became essential to underground hip-hop. Cavern was released in 1983 on an independent label. The song had no rap, no MCs, just post-punk experimental vibes, but something about the rhythm, the groove, the production made it perfect for sampling. Underground DJs in New York got the vinyl. They brought it into hip-hop circles, they looped it, sampled it, remixed it. Suddenly a post-punk song was hip-hop essential. Liquid probably never knew their music became so important in hip-hop culture, but that is what made it perfect underground content. Liquid represents how underground networks transcended genre boundaries. DJs did not care if a song was punk or funk or electronic. They cared if it sampled well, if it grooved, if it had that underground credibility. This is how cultures actually merge outside the commercial industry gatekeeping. Number 12. Sugarhill Gang. This entry is complicated because Sugarhill Gang was more of a label concept than a real group.
And me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to move your feet.
But Rapper's Delight in 1979 was the first commercially successful hip-hop single on national radio. Historical, the song hit number 36 on the Billboard Hot 100, gold certification. Massive mainstream success. But here's the controversy. Many New York hip-hop pioneers hated Rapper's Delight. They thought it was commercializing their underground culture, turning their art into pop music. Sugarhill Gang was created by Sylvia Robinson, the label owner. She packaged underground Bronx culture for national consumption, and it worked. Rapper's Delight opened doors for hip-hop to become an industry, but it also represented the moment underground became mainstream, the moment the gatekeepers took over. We include Sugarhill Gang because they represent a crucial moment, the point where underground stopped being underground, the point where what started in Bronx block parties became a commercial product. Some saw it as liberation, others saw it as co-optation. The truth is probably both. Number 13, Sequence. Pay attention because this is where hip-hop history gets erased.
That body rock, you don't stop, you don't.
Sequence was a three-woman group, Cheryl, Gwendolyn, and Linda. In 1979, they released Funk You Up on Sugarhill Records. The song hit number 46 on the Billboard Hot 100. Chart success, then they disappeared. Sequence was one of the first major female rap groups on a major label, but their contribution was never acknowledged in mainstream hip-hop history. Instead, people talk about Salt and Peppa as the first big female group. Salt and Peppa emerged in 1986, 7 years after Sequence. But Sequence got written out of the history books. Emotional, this is the story of women in hip-hop history. Early pioneers, commercial success, then systematic erasure. Their records barely documented. Their influence minimized. Their legacy forgotten. We include Sequence to correct this narrative, to acknowledge that female pioneers were there from the beginning, creating, contributing, building the culture, and then getting left out of the story. Hip-hop history has been written by men about men. That is changing now, but Sequence deserves recognition for opening doors that other female rappers walked through. Number 14, DJ Grandmaster D. This entry represents something important. The documentation gap. Most hip-hop history is based on recorded evidence, chart positions, album sales, but the most important hip-hop figures never recorded commercially. They influenced culture through live performance, through block parties, through direct mentorship. DJ Grandmaster D reportedly influenced other Bronx DJs in the late 1970s and early 1980s, but almost no recorded evidence exists. A bootleg tape here and there. Word of mouth from other DJs. That is it. This represents an entire category of pioneers whose contributions were lost, under-recorded, undocumented. When we tell hip-hop history, we tell the story of what got recorded, what got commercialized, what survived in vinyl form. But the true history is much bigger than that. It includes countless figures who shaped the culture but left no recorded trace. We do not know everything about Grandmaster D because history failed to document it properly. That is actually the honest lesson here. Hip-hop history has huge gaps. Female pioneers were erased. Underground figures were forgotten. Documentation was incomplete. When we tell these stories, we are not telling complete truth. We are telling the stories that survived the recording industry filter. Number 15. And this is where we come full circle. DJ Kool Herc and the Furious Five. We started with Kool Herc as number 1 because he invented the breakbeat. But Herc also worked with MCs over the years, different configurations, different eras. This is a reminder that Kool Herc was not just a DJ, he was part of a community, a movement. He performed at parties with other MCs. He created the foundation, but never worked alone. We end with Kool Herc to remind everyone that hip-hop is collective, it is community. It is voices and DJs and dancers and writers working together. Even though one person gets credit for the invention, the reality is more complex. This entire list represents that complexity. 15 artists, 15 stories, some charted, some did not, some are famous, some are forgotten, but all of them contributed to building a culture from nothing. In Bronx basements and block parties, in recording studios and street corners, with Enjoy Records and Sugarhill and independent releases and bootleg tapes. Moved, hip-hop did not spring fully formed from the minds of a few geniuses. It was built by communities, by dozens and dozens and dozens of artists who showed up and did the work. The artists on this list are just 15. There are hundreds more, thousands, and their collective effort created something that changed the entire world. Engaging. So which of these underground gems surprised you most? Personally, I think Sequence deserves way more recognition. A charting hit in 1979 but completely erased from history. That is the definition of underground erasure. If you have other underground 1980s hip-hop favorites that we missed, please drop them in the comments. Because the truth is this list could be 50 deep, 100 deep. Hip-hop history is so rich and so underdocumented that there are probably underground legends you and I have never even heard of. We want to hear from you. Help us build a more complete history. Direct call to action, subscribe to Hip Hop Legends Archives for more deep dives into the artists and stories the mainstream forgot. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a release, and share this video with anyone who cares about real hip-hop history, not the sanitized version, the real complicated, messy, beautiful story of how a culture was built from nothing.